So in terms of service, how would a family come to you guys?
So, we've made it a really intense and vested interest to get out to the communities. The reality is that we very strategically placed ourselves in those communities that were underserved for far too long. And quite frankly, they still are. RCADD is not the saving grace. We do what we can, and we try to help as many people as we can.
Right.
But the reality is if there were as many RCADDs as there were gas stations on every block, we'd find ourselves in a lot better position. So what we've done, we have created social media. We have gone out to the schools. We've gone to resource fairs and community events. We've gone as far as created gift baskets and brought them to schools with items in them that we create at the center to let these teachers and hopefully parents know that this is what we do at the center. Come to the center and this is what we can do for you.
And real quick, what I want to do is show everyone where you guys are located. Garfield Community Service Center, room 202, 10 South Kedzie Avenue, Chicago, Illinois 60612. And you're also located at King Community Service Center, room 103, 4314, South Cottage Grove, Chicago, Illinois 60653. You can reach them at 312-747-8571. So you mentioned gift baskets. When we, what are in those gift baskets? I'm curious.
Okay, no, it's a great question. So the gift baskets contained visual supports. So what does it mean when I say visual supports? Visual supports are a medium that we will develop in conjunction with a teacher or a caregiver to better help a child with autism understanding his or her environment. Typically, children with autism are going to be visual learners versus auditory. In many cases, when we speak to a child with autism, it's not necessarily retained as well as something that's presented to them visually. So we might create a schedule of the day or a schedule of half the day if that's what the child needs. Or in some cases, it's going to be a schedule for just that one period. It could be a schedule for when a child comes home from school. In many cases, our parents are flustered because when their kids come home from school, they don't know what to do with them, and they end up in front of the TV or the computer or snacking to the extent that's not always appropriate. So these schedules are really meant to help a child visualize what the expectation of the day is, of the hour is, and in some cases, what the minute is. What does it entail? What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go?
Right.
How am I supposed to get there? And in many cases, what's most important for a lot of our children, when am I going to be done?
So kind of like at what age would you start using the visual schedule? As soon as you learn that the child has autism spectrum disorder? Or is it just kind of like something you can try out?
Well, I think we want to start looking, typically we're going to see a diagnosis of autism between 18 and 24 months.
Okay.
It might be a little early at that time. We might want to start maybe around the age of 3, maybe a little sooner than that. Once we start to see that our child is recognizing things around him or her, that's when we can start to implement those visual supports. Once they have an understanding of the home and what it looks like, potentially preschool and what the classroom looks like, we can start to incorporate those visual supports to help that child better understand where he or she is. Quite frankly, make sense of the environment.
Right, and I'm imagining with those visual supports, it's also preparing them for community living. I know you're not thinking it's at 18 or 24 months, but getting comfortable with those supports at a young age is going to be, crucial as they hit milestones in transition age, preparing them for the future.
100%. So what we say is we never fade the schedule. When we introduce a schedule to a child, we don't fade it. What we do is it grows with the child. So it becomes age appropriate as the child grows, as does the schedule. And in many cases, now what we're seeing are iPads and iPods being used as that visual support medium. And quite frankly, I can't think of a more appropriate medium for a teenager, a young adult, and even an adult to use to help them navigate their day. I'm sure that you have a schedule. I have one.
Yeah.
We all have a schedule of some sort. But our children really thrive through that visual support. And the new medium that's available for them is phenomenal. We're seeing great progress in that respect.